Namaskar. I'd like to welcome everyone again who is watching today to this journey that we are taking together. This channel is about life, about truth, about understanding. If you are someone who is seeking something in life, and it's okay if you don't know what exactly that is, but if you are not satisfied with your life, if you are in sorrow, if you know that life, the way it is going on, is not working or satisfactory for me, I want something else, I want something bigger, I want freedom. If you are one of those, who has looked into life seriously, looked into yourself, and who, who has who has tried to understand the truth about what's the purpose of life, or is life is is this it? Is life just about going to school, getting a job, getting married, starting a family, and retiring? Is that all to life, or is there something else? Then I'd like to heartily welcome you to this journey that we are taking together. Today, I felt I had to talk about something that is very important in today's world, in today's time. And it is about a different type of education, a different type of education than what we have been receiving at school or university. An education about the self, what that is and how important that is for a human being. Talking about myself, my background has been in science, engineering, and I studied for 6 years in a university in US in a technical field. So I feel I have some qualification to talk about the type of education that we have in this world, in the Western world, or even in the Eastern world. If I ask a question to you that how is your life? Are you truly happy? Are you independently happy in your life? Do you have a sense of fullness within you that you don't find yourself being disturbed and being pulled by the many attractions of the world? Is there peace within you? Is there happiness in your life without your family or the things that you have? Let's say like this: if your family were to be taken from you and all your devices or all your things that you have, physical things that you engage in, for example your mobile phone or your car or different other material things, okay? So without those things, would you be able, and even your friends? So let's say you haven't left alone without any material possessions or your relationships, your family, friends. Then how would your life then would be? How would your experience be then? Would you still be happy? Would you still consider yourself to be a happy person? Would you be at peace? Or could it be very, very hard? Or whether you can't imagine such a life, being alone, so we'll be talking today about this serious matter. As soon as we start our schooling, when we are born, we go to school, right? And we are taught, we are given knowledge of the world. From the very early age, we study the knowledge related to the outer world. We have subjects like art, science, business, different type of sciences. And we also engage in sports, right? But is there any type of education in your school or in your college where you get education? Is there any classes related to yourself? Is there some type of education that goes into who you are, goes into life, goes into what consists of a human experience, not just the physical parts, in totality? For example, I as a human is not just this physical part, right? In my experience, I experience other things as well. For example, thoughts, emotions, fear, jealousy, dream, a sense of stillness, a sense of joy, things like those. So is there any type of education that you have that go into these things? Or are these things totally new to you? Because what I'm going to talk about is a type of education that might not be heard of generally. I'm not talking about something that has just been invented, okay? It's an ancient thing. But there is a kind of education that should be taught in schools, especially at the very early age. But unfortunately, we don't have that education. To give it a name, I'll call it self-education or self-knowledge for now. There can be many different names, but to point it out or to give a definition, per se, let's just call it self-education for now, okay? So, we don't have this type of education in our school system, right? Especially Western education system, and the whole world studies the Western education system, which is based on science. So, I want to ask if the type of education that we have been receiving, is that complete? Is that right? Is that the right way to go? Being a science student or professional, having a science background, I understand, I think I understand very well the importance of this science education, okay? It is very important. The type of education that we receive at schools, colleges, universities are very important, because in today's world we see an explosion of innovation, technology, things that are truly magical, right? Humans have been able to invent things, devices that help us a lot in our daily lives, whether it be connecting with people or staying up to date with news, or many devices related to health, sports. All these items, devices that we use, we have television, mobile phones, we have cars, right? We have many type of devices that we use for many purposes. And at the recent times, it's 2025 right now, right? So it's said it's the time of AI, artificial intelligence. And this is truly marvelous thing, truly extraordinary invention that humans have made, because I myself have a computer science background, right? So I understand programming, software development, artificial intelligence, things like that. But even having a 6 years education in a university in computer science background, At this point, I am startled, I am surprised to see the new artificial intelligence invention that humans have made, right? Especially the generative AI. Because this is something humans have made something that even humans are having a hard time understanding. Okay? So nowadays people are using artificial intelligence in almost everything, right? Even in art, in business, in learning, in even in vehicles like cars or even robots, right? So soon we might see robots in our home that might help us with many things. So in that sense, I am not at all saying that science is not important, right? Science is tremendously important because of science and innovation and technology, the human comfort has increased tremendously. Talking about the physical comfort, today we find our living very comfortable for the body, right? That's because of technology. We can do almost everything staying at our home through a computer, right? So that's where science and technology has taken us today, till today. So being a science student, being a professional, I understand. I think I understand very clearly that this type of education is important. It's very powerful. The human logic, human mind, the systematic thinking process, the process of innovation is truly extraordinary. Now I will ask a question, okay? Given that at today's times we are surrounded by marvelous technologies, marvelous inventions that humans have made that provide comfort to the body, given that, has the human experience also been marvelous? That's my question to everyone who is watching. Along with education, has the quality of living, quality of human happiness, has that also increased with time? We study from the very early age, right? We go to kindergarten, we go to grade 1, we level up to grade 2, 5, we reach grade 10, we then start our high school education, we then go to college to start our undergraduate education, right? Then we continue with our study, education, research, we study masters, we take PhD, right? So in this way, we spend almost 30 years studying about the world, getting a science education, right? So that's all the education we have been receiving about the outer world. That's our education system. Whatever we have learned till now, no matter what age you are currently, you may be 20 years of old, 30, 50, 60. So whatever we have learned so far, that's the kind of education we have been receiving, right? The outer world, knowledge of the outer world. So my question is, sincere question is, has that study, has that 30 years of study or any number of years of study, has that brought significant difference in your life within yourself? Has that made you a truly happy person? Has that liberated you from all the human problems, suffering within? Has that given good understanding of yourself? What do you say? Is that the case? I am differentiating here between true happiness and false happiness, okay? People might say, if I ask someone, they might say, how are you? They might say they are a happy person, right? I want to differentiate what true happiness means and what a false happiness means, okay? So generally, when people say I am happy, the cause of that happiness is external generally, right? The person is happy because he has friends, he has a job that pays well. From the job, from the money that he earns, he buys car or many items of comfort, a house, right? He might have a wife or a husband. She might have a husband, and a person might start a family. They might have kids, right? So when a person say I'm happy, if you think deeply, if you reflect on this, if you try to find out the truth, then generally what's the cause of the person's happiness is outer. The cause is outer, okay, external. What that means is he is happy because he has a job, he has he has money, he has comfort, he has a wife, he has family. Because of that, the person is happy, okay? So I say this false because what is truth? Truth is something that is eternal, okay? Truth is something that lasts forever, that doesn't die, that doesn't change, that is dependable. So these things that a person takes for granted and says he is happy, these are false because these things will not last forever, right? If you are a little serious about finding the truth, about truly finding something eternal, then you will see that these things that we associate ourselves with externally, these things are temporary, right? Even human relationship is not permanent, is not eternal. So in that case, this is false because when the time comes to separate from these things or from some person, that's the point when you will be facing reality, right? And often that reality is you will receive sorrow in life. You'll be very unhappy. You'll feel as if you have been betrayed, right? Your hopes will be crushed. You'll cry. There might be heartbreak. So in that sense, this cannot be considered something true. This isn't truth. Now, some people might ask, you might ask me, then nothing is true. Nothing is, there isn't anything like truth, right? Everything is temporary. So we need to compromise. If you say that, then I understand that where that opinion, where that is coming from. Because I understand that in general human experience, we don't have experience with anything like truth or eternal, right? Everything that we have been experiencing has been transient, has been fluctuating. So one might say that there isn't anything eternal or anything that doesn't change or that stays forever. I understand if that is not in your experience, because like I said, we have not been taught anything related to truth or anything related to discovering yourself or realizing something that is beyond time. But one cannot say that if one doesn't have experience on those things, one cannot say that that thing doesn't exist, right? That will just be imagination, or that would be a mistake. Because to discover anything, you need to do research, right? Even in the physical world, even in your college, institution, university. That's how scientists discover truth about the world, right? They do research, they search, and they find. Similarly, this is also a domain that requires research. Life is a domain to understand yourself. This is also a field of study. This also requires attention, requires energy, requires investigation from yourself. So, the type of education we have been receiving, my question was, has that brought peace that is of independent nature? Has that made life blissful? Has that brought clear understanding in your life? Has that solved your questions that you have in your life? That's my question. So what I'm saying is, there are these two disjoint different domains, right, of knowledge. One is about yourself. People might give different names to this thing. This domain might be called as self-knowledge, or about truth, or even religion, or spirituality, or realization, or liberation, or about life, reality, things like that. That is one domain, right? That we are not generally aware of. That is not included in our syllabus, in our institution, school, college. That has been left. And there is another domain that we are very familiar with, that we learn in school, that is the knowledge of the outer world, right? So we have been receiving this knowledge of the outer world. We start with learning A for apple, B for ball, right? Then we advance, we level up, and then we start learning about the moon, about the stars, things like that. So what does a person do in life? What does a person do in life? Obviously, when you are a student, you are busy with your studies. You don't have time to think about anything else, right? There's a clear path, there's a clear structure created by the society, that you have to go to school, you have to spend all your day in school learning all these subjects, right? So it's understandable when you are a student, life is hidden, reality is hidden, right? You don't have an opportunity. Life doesn't present yourself in front of you in its raw form, right? Life, reality is hidden. Everything is taken care of for you. So you start studying. So your study starts from kindergarten, and then you go to grade 1, 2, right? So this process is a long process. You study you get busy until like 20 years of age, right? In this way. So until then, life is kind of hidden. The world is hidden for you. You don't face the world. You don't face life. You are busy with your homeworks, projects, right? And then you reach 20 years of age, or 22 or 25. So there comes a point when your formal education ends. Maybe say when you are 25 years of old age, right? Then after education, normally people start job instantly, right? So they switch from education to doing a job. Now when a person starts working, he now gets some leisure time. He now gets some free time that he didn't have when he was a student, right? This might also be the case that even at work, you are so busy that you don't have time to think about anything else, right? That's possible. Anyway, even let's say you are working, and sometime in life you get this time when you find yourself alone, right? At some point in your life. And all of a sudden, you are faced with reality for the first time. Or you start consistently facing with reality, with life. All of a sudden you find yourself alone in this world, and you look outside, you look at the world, right? And you find this fear, you find this uncertainty. You feel as if you don't know anything, right? Because for the first time you have been given some time by the world, by reality. You are not very engaged. So what does a person do at that point? What does a person feel? Obviously, the person will feel confused, will feel anxious, will be afraid of this new reality. This is very natural, because till 20 years or 25 years he has been illusioned. Reality has been blocked from his vision, right? This has been carefully planned by society, right? Society has carefully made this structure so that you don't get any free time to think about these things that really matter in life. So what does a person do then? Obviously, it will be time to get married, to do job, right? And he doesn't know anything about himself or the world or reality or anything about life, right? So what does he do then? Obviously, without knowledge, he will do things, he will marry, or he will do some job, or he will go somewhere, travel, right? But that decision that a person does isn't coming from understanding, isn't coming from realization, right? So when a person does anything in this world, whether getting married or doing a job, that decision didn't come from knowledge, wisdom, right? Understanding. He has no knowledge whatsoever about work, about relationship, about himself, about reality, nothing. About why, cause of sorrow, what is happiness, how to solve the life problems, nothing at all. So then the person, whatever he does, comes from ignorance. He doesn't have any clear knowledge, understanding. It's kind of random, right? So it's not surprise that the result is sorrow. The person will, whatever he does, he will not receive fulfillment at all. He will not receive happiness or peace at all. Because, like I said, to understand something you have to study first. There has to be reflection, there has to be deep analysis, deep introspection, right? He hasn't looked inside him or her. The person hasn't looked within. So there is no chance of knowing the self, knowing himself or herself. So there is no surprise that the world that we live in currently, all the wars, all the sorrow there is, the wave of depression, the wave of mental health issues, people committing suicide, or a country destroying another country. There is no surprise at all that the animal behavior that is seen in this world, one being trying to finish another being, There is nothing in this world like love, compassion, peace, service, nothing, right? Because we haven't been taught the most important thing in life, which is to understand yourself. Our education system is completely devoid of this part of education, right? When I say, how are you to someone, the person says, I am good. But I understand very clearly that that is not the case, because I understand the self, I understand myself, I have that education, and that has given a vision from which I can even see the state of someone, about his consciousness, about his mind, about his day-to-day experience. That comes from education, right? So I don't think there are many happy people in this earth. When I look around, I have no doubt, I don't see any liberated person. I don't see any truly peaceful person, truly a person who has solved all his problems of his life. That is very rare, right? This is rare because there is no education at all. The world has been, unfortunately, the world has decided to ignore this education and go to the route of creating rockets and technology and things like that. So, just like the field of science is vast, we study for 20 years, right? Similarly, this domain of the self knowledge is also vast. It takes time. I can't say that you will know yourself, you will know the self within a year or within even 5 years. I can't guarantee that, right? I can't say that you will be a truly peaceful person in a short time by taking a course. Because when a person studies science, the person is very dedicated, right? He studies for a long time. He studies for his life, right? Similarly, to understand the self, to understand life, to understand reality, to be free of human suffering, to be free of your all problems of your life, this is also a field of study. This also requires sincerity, hard work. One thing I would like to mention that is important is, although our education system is devoid of this education, that doesn't mean that you will not be able to understand the self. There is a way. If the schools don't teach you, then you have to learn yourself, right? That might be reading books, learned masters or people who have realized, people who are liberated, listening to them, right? There are many ways, especially in today's world. It's possible to learn anything online, even through YouTube, right? So, this is very important thing that I have covered today in this video. You have to at least question or look at this thing, because if I say that the outer education that we have been receiving, it's not possible at all to achieve happiness with that education. If I say something like that, it might come as a surprise to you, right? Because there comes a point in human life when a person tries to be happy, right? Using this same technique, using this same knowledge of the outer world. You will think that to be happy, I need a car. If I get that job, if I get a house, or if I get married, then I will be happy, right? Because that's the kind of education he has been receiving, to look outside. Knowledge of the outer things of technology, right? So he knows no other way. He will use that same education even for achieving happiness. But I say that that is not possible. Happiness is not present in that domain. Liberation is not present in that education. Peace, to be free of suffering, to be enlightened, to live in joy 24/7 independently, without any relationship or without anything, right? Those things are not possible with the type of education we have been receiving in our school. I don't say that in a shallow sense, okay? I say that very deeply, very truly, from my own experience, which has from a long experience. So, in the end, I would like to request, please do give consideration to this, to the things that I shared today. Whether we need to look into this another domain. Life will be truly beautiful and will be truly blissful in a truth sense if a human receives both of this education. If a person knows himself, if the person knows the self, if I know who I am, at the same time, if I have worldly skills, like if I can create technology, then there cannot be anything more beautiful than that. That is, in a true sense, that is what is called a heaven, right? Because that will be the ultimate achievement of human experience. There will not be anything left after that. Everything will have been achieved by a human. So I would like to not make this video very long. I think I have said few important things. I'll continue with next video to share many things. There are many things left to share. But please do consideration to this, that has our education been working? Has the education that we have been receiving, has this been effective? We should question this, right? Because we have worked very hard. Even after working this hard, even after sacrificing 20-30 years of your life, even after that, even if the life feels hollow, right? Even if life feels as if it doesn't have any joy at all, it feels depressing. If after a person receives PhD, if he goes into depression, then if you are intelligent, then you have to question this education. What is the worth of this education, right? It is not working at all. So with that, I would like to end this discourse today. Please have a good day or good night. See you in the next discourse. Thank you.